talk more about AFI, but it's really an alliance for financial inclusion with member institutions coming from, I think, 89 countries. So it's a global body, as you understand, from all parts of the world. So we are honored as Rwanda to host this annual meetings of the AFI. I think this is the 11th time we are having this Global Policy Forum that is normally preceded by the annual general meeting of members of AFI. As you would get from the name of AFI, it's Alliance for Financial Inclusion. It's a network of members that want to put together their efforts and ideas to close the gap of financial inclusion across different countries in the world. And we normally track what are the challenges across different countries, what best practices can we share between ourselves, and then again, I'll leave that to Alfred, who will come back to different initiatives that we've come up with in different forums. So normally we aim to come up with an initiative from this forum that can guide especially policy actions, but we're also happy that through the AFI network, we are able to build capacity of our staff in issues to deal with financial inclusion. And as you would imagine, financial inclusion goes with consumer protection. So we work with them, and for us as Rwanda, we've gained a lot from being a member of the AFI network in terms of improving our policy, our legal and regulatory framework for ensuring really financial inclusion in our country. We've just finished a financial inclusion strategy for Rwanda that is waiting cabinet approval, and we had good input from AFI and also learning from the experiences from the other members of AFI across the board. So we expect that these particular meetings in Kigali, which were invited for from Thursday and Friday, we're really focusing on how we can leverage technology to improve on financial inclusion for women and the youth. We take this as special groups within our population that have been left behind in terms of financial inclusion, but also building from experiences in different countries, and Rwanda being one of them. We saw that technology can really help us leapfrog the challenges of financial exclusion. So with this particular GPF we are hosting here in Kigali, and we are happy to do that as Rwanda because we're a country that promotes the use of ICT for solutions of different aspects of our lives, but also a country that promotes women inclusion in, again, across different aspects of our lives. So it is really a good venue to discuss how we can use technology to close the gender financial inclusion gap, but also bring more women into financial inclusion. At the end of the day, we are aiming to close any gap or to have everybody financially included, which is a foundation for inclusive growth going forward that is linked to the SDGs that's agreed across the world. So I'll leave it at that as just introductory remarks. We'll be happy to answer your questions later, and let me invite Alfred to give his opening remarks as well.
Governor, the representatives of the media, I want to start by saying that we are proud to co-host our 11th meeting, which is the Global Policy Forum here in Kigali. And I'm saying we are proud because the National Bank of Rwanda is a member of AFI since the beginning almost, I can say. National Bank of Rwanda joined AFI in May 2009, which was even before the official launch of the initiative that, by the way, also took place on African soil in a neighboring country, which is Kenya. That is where it all started, and now after a little bit more than 10 years, we are back to the continent to celebrate our 11th meeting. So that fills us with pride. But it also fills us with pride just because of the fact that ever since we kicked off this initiative in Nairobi in 2009, the network grew dramatically in terms of number of members, but also, of course, in terms of topics that we are dealing with. So let me therefore give you a little bit of background on what AFI is. As the governor pointed out, it's an alliance. It's an alliance of financial regulators, which is basically central banks and some other financial regulators from all over the world, from emerging and developing economies who have come together to look into solutions that can drive smart financial inclusion. So why would regulators do that? Apparently, there's a case to be made for financial inclusion, and I think the governor hinted at that already. I would just like to give the very simple example, and that is financial inclusion can have a dramatic impact in a very poor person's life when it comes to a small financial service, maybe a very simple financial service, maybe a transfer, a mobile money transfer, depositing a small amount of savings, or even getting a small loan from a financial provider. This access can have a dramatic impact, positive impact on that life. And of course, we have seen that with the entry of technology, the retail costs of these services have gone down dramatically, and of course, more people could be included. And I think the example here, I think it comes, Governor, from your own country, where you, when you started with us in 2009, I think the baseline of adult people included in the formal financial system in Rwanda was 20%. And now you have fulfilled your commitment under AFI, which is 80%. So in other words, we have just turned around the number from 20% included into 20% excluded, or you can say 80% included. So this is a dramatic development, and of course this kind of stands out, but it also represents a lot of the developments that you have seen in the network. Now the network comes together through working groups, through joint learning programs, through capacity building initiatives. We also support in-country implementation from the management side. And all these activities lead into regulatory reforms, innovations, projects that help to include the poor into the financial sector. And we have been doing this now, as I said, for more than 10 years. And the results are not only dramatic in Rwanda. We have seen around the world, as a result of our activities, that 650 million people could be included. And we have done that through the support of 545 concrete policy solutions. Now you will ask, what are these policy solutions? I can give you examples from, if you like, other continent. We can go to a country like Peru, where the country committed under AFI to issue a new legal framework, a decree on electronic money issuing, where also non-bank institutions could participate in electronic money issuance, which of course had an impact on the poor. We have other countries like in Malaysia or Philippines where central banks have introduced frameworks on consumer protection, on financial education that actually help to build capacity on the demand side when it comes to the usage of financial services. So these are the kind of examples I can give you that the network has supported. Finally, let me say that our work, which started off at a time, as you all know, when the financial crisis hit all of us, our work was a lot around the core mandate of the central banks, which is financial stability, next to monetary stability. But in the course of time, it also became very apparent that financial regulators also have a role to play when it comes to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And here I'm basically speaking about Sustainable Development Goals that look at inclusion of gender, women's financial inclusion, but also climate, and even groups that are disproportionately affected by financial exclusion. And this is what National Bank of Rwanda encouraged us to do this year, to look into solutions that can help to include all those who cannot participate in formal financial inclusion. And that is why we are now using, this should be my last sentence, we are now using this event to identify learnings, global learnings that can address local challenges. And we are doing this because we want to make sure that no one is left behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Director. Now we can open up questions to different media houses. We're going to take a round of 3 questions, and we'll keep it short. Say your name, the media house, and who you are addressing the question to. Thank you so much. So we can start with RBA for their first question.
And those who want to ask in Kinyarwanda, please feel free. But that should be directed to me, not to Alfred. So, yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Governor. My question goes to the AFI Executive Director. I just wanted to know how this organization or the alliance helps countries with challenges when it comes to access to finance. How do you intervene directly in the policies of those countries? To like, if you want also to associate yourself with the development of Rwanda since 2009 up to 2019. And Honorable Governor, twifuza kumenya mu byukuri umuduhuriza uburyo ikoranabuhanga ryaba ryarafashije mu bijyanye no gufasha abanyarwanda kubona services z'imari, n'icyo iyi nama ishobora kuba yakongera mu mbaraga murimo kugenda mushyiramo. Murakoze.
And we'll take the next question from the New Times.
Thank you. My name is Julius Bismongo from the New Times. I have 2 questions. One is directly to the Executive Director of AFI. We know part of the on the agenda, one of the things you're going to showcase some of the digital innovations, specifically financial technology solutions. But we know some of the countries and stakeholders across the country have not been able to respond to financial technology solutions in a good way, or rather they've been slow. I wanted to understand your members, what exactly or how exactly have your members been responding to the digital disruption that is sweeping across the industry? And then to the governor, you said you got a lot of support when you were drafting the financial inclusion strategy, which is, going to be approved by the cabinet. What exactly is this strategy responding to, and what are some of the lessons that you expected to share with the members who are going to convene here?
So let's have the last questions from Taifa.
Thank you. My name is Magnus from Tarifa. My question goes to Dr. Alfred. The plan to have 100% financial inclusion by 2020 clearly didn't work out, and for fair reason that you might share, I wanted to find out from you, could there have been reasons that were either anticipated or not anticipated, and during the discussions during this conference, you may be able to identify solutions. Of course, one of them is technology, but could there be other reasons that are in your knowledge that we don't know about? Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we can respond to those, and we'll take another round.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the really, really interesting questions, and we really would like to respond as far as we can. Now, how do you use the word intervene in countries with financial inclusion challenges? The word intervene is perhaps not the word that AFI would be using. simply because of the fact that in this alliance it is actually the members themselves who are taking the leadership, and if you like, the AFI management unit comes in and facilitates services that can help to implement objectives that have already been formulated or are in the process of being formulated or adopted on the national level. So ours is really more to engage our members in a peer learning exercise where members who are looking for solutions can learn from those ones who already have proven that some of these approaches can work. And we do that, if you want to use the word intervention, we intervene through offerings, through working groups, technical working groups, on all kind of issues such as digital financial services, financial education, small and medium enterprise finance, consumer protection. How do we measure financial inclusion? How do we measure progress? How do we report? How can actually data and measurement inform financial inclusion reforms and so forth? But we also do joint learning programs where we can bring delegations from our members to other countries to learn from good examples. A good example is we for example, send countries from all over the world to South America to learn on agency banking, from Brazil or from Colombia or even from Mexico. But we also brought countries outside Africa into Kenya to learn on mobile financial services. And we are bringing countries to the Philippines to learn on financial consumer protection. So that is what we do. And then, of course, we also offer small financial support, grants that can actually help to enhance ongoing in-country implementation efforts. So this could be demand-side surveys, small technical assistance that the countries can choose themselves, and so forth. And all this is under the umbrella of the national strategy that in most of the countries is in place. But we also encourage our members to make commitments. And this is the Maya Declaration. This comes from Mexico, where we a couple of years ago adopted a framework where all our members can make commitments towards very specific objectives. And for example, Rwanda had committed to achieve an objective of 80% included by the year of, is it 2018? So, and I understand that this objective was achieved, but we have many, many other examples from other countries. So this is the so-called intervention that we are doing, but in this intervention we are very hands-off. We are not telling people what to do. Ours is really more to facilitate ongoing initiatives and, of course, to ride on the energy that is with most of our members already. The second question was related to the digital innovations and how do members respond. You talked about in some parts of the country. I'm not sure whether you are talking about Rwanda. If it's about Rwanda, I think the governor will have a better explanation why maybe some groups or stakeholders do not respond to digital. But in our remit that we can oversee, I can say that digital financial services is actually the most prominent space or activity that we are undertaking. And this is actually in a number, I can say around 70% of our activities are actually directed towards digital financial inclusion. This has, of course, many reasons. You can see that the technological advances are moving forward very dynamically. This is a space where learning takes place, and next day you actually have to learn again because things are moving so fast. So I think in the digital space we see a lot of momentum and high interest of countries to participate. And of course this has also accelerated through the entrance of fintech, financial technologies that are in fact disrupting many of these markets. Now the question is, how do we deal with these challenges and how can regulatory responses look like to make sure that these digital innovations can also be provided in a safe and sound way. And this leads me to the third question that was asked, which is what are some of the reasons perhaps why the 2020 objectives have not been achieved. First, I should say the 2020 objectives are objectives that have been formulated by a couple of international stakeholders, such as the World Bank, I think Visa, MasterCard, some of the private companies have been behind these objectives. I think also some others. I believe that these objectives have been quite optimistic. The time horizon was very short. And from our experience, we can actually say that financial inclusion, if you talk about 100% inclusion, we need to recognize that this takes time. Because once regulatory changes have been made, of course, it needs time for the markets to pick up. So the 3 or 4 years that were given as a time horizon from our point of view has been a little bit too short, to achieve this. On the other hand, the 2020 objectives is also important. They were looking at the access dimension. So the question was, how can we bring in as many people as possible in a very short time just to simple access? AFI's overall approach is a little bit more diversified. We are looking at the same time at other dimensions, like how do people use these services, and are these good quality services? So we are looking at dimensions of usage and quality at the same time. And looking at usage and quality, of course, requires definitely more time. That's why I think there is now a common understanding, even with institutions like the World Bank, that it will take a bit longer to achieve full financial inclusion. The UN and others, we are speaking about a 2030 horizon. I think this is much more realistic. But it is also sometimes important to set optimistic objectives in order to create a momentum. And I think we certainly have seen quite a lot of additional inclusion in the last 8 years. We started off with a number of 2.5 billion people excluded around the world, and now in the meantime we have included an additional 1.2 billion. So there is a lot of progress, but of course more needs to be done, and I think that's also why the Alliance is here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Ku kibazo cyabajijwe na Masatura ku ikoranabuhanga ryafashije mu kwegereza abanyarwanda serivisi z'imari, muri 2008 hakozwe inyigo yagaragazaga abanyarwanda uko bagerwaho na serivisi z'imari. Icyo gihe twari hasi cyane, ngo hafi nkuko Alfred yabivuze 52% ntibagerwaga na serivisi imari n'imwe. Abagerwagaho na banki bari 21%. Nyuma yaho leta yafashe umwanya yiga impamvu ituma abanyarwanda benshi batagerwa na serivisi z'imari. Ngo hajemo ibintu bitatu by'ingenzi. Kimwe cyari kuba ibigo by'imari bikorera kure y'aho abantu batuye, ko icyo gihe twari dufite amabanki gusa hafi, microfinance zari nke cyane. So ugasanga abantu benshi birabasaba kugenda birometero 10 kugira ngo bagere aho ikigo cy'imari gikorera. Ikindi cyari kujijukirwa ibyiza byo gukorana n'ibigo by'imari, cyangwa se kutajijukirwa, abantu kutamenya ibyiza byo gukorana na serivisi z'imari. Ikindi cyabaga wenda abantu bamwe bavuga ngo birahenze gukorana na serivisi z'imari, cyangwa se gutinya gukorana na serivisi z'imari, ukumva ari byo umuntu kumva afite amafaranga yibitseho bimworohera, cyangwa se gushora imari akumva yashora imari mu mitungo abona afatishaho intoki. Icyo ni ikintu, ni ibintu byagaragaye icyo gihe muri gahunda za leta yashyizeho zo kugerageza. Ikintu cya mbere ndashaka kugaruraho ku kintu cy'ikoranabuhanga, ni ugukora ya nzitizi yo kuba abantu baragombaga kugenda ibirometero 10 kugira ngo bashobore kugera aho ikigo cy'imari gikorera. Wenda igisubizo cya mbere cyari ugushyiraho imirenge sako mu gihugu hose, ko yatumye icyo gihe bigabanuka, biba hafi buri munyarwanda muri birometero 5 ashobora kugera aho ikigo cy'imari gikorera. Ariko noneho ikoranabuhanga rije byo biba hafi kuri butiki kwegereye, washobora kujya ugakora nabo twita agents ba mobile financial services. Nubwo ugashobora kuba wakohereza amafaranga runaka kwa kanaka utagombye gutegereza kuzafata imodoka ngo ugiye ufata iminsi ingahe kugerayo gutanga amafaranga agomba kohereza umuntu. Byatumye rero byorohera abantu gukorana serivisi z'imari, kuko ikoranabuhanga ryabegereje izo serivisi. ikindi gikomeye wenda ubwo byatangiye ari ukoherezanya amafaranga kuri mobile money, ariko ubu ngubu icy'ingenzi gikomeye tubona kirimo gihindura cyane bya financial inclusion, kuko iyo tuvuze kugerwaho na serivisi z'imari ntabwo ari kugeraho gusa ngo wabitse wabikuje cyangwa wohereje amafaranga kwa kanaka. Bizagira akamaro ari uko abantu bashobora kwizigamira bagatangira kwiguriza, bagatangira gufata ubwishingizi. Nicyo gituma ubuzima bw'abantu buhinduka bakoresheje serivisi z'ibigo by'imari. Mu myaka nk'ibiri rero ishize hatangiye kubaho kwizigamira bakoresheje telefoni, ibyo twita mobile savings. Ku mafaranga make make ukagenda wizigamira kuri konti yawe uri kuri telefoni ikaguhuza na banki. Bitewe n'ukuntu wizigamira ukaba abantu batangira gufata imyenda yoroheje, icyo twita micro loans, unyujije kuri izi mbuga kuri telefoni, kuri digital platforms. Ni ikintu cyihutije. Iyo turebye nko mu myaka ibiri ishize, wenda imibare ubu ngubu ndaza gushaka imibare ishobora kuba yahindutse gato, ariko iyo urebye abantu bafataga imyenda mu bigo by'imari mbere y'uko haza digital loans, aho zitangiye kuza umubare wikubye kabiri. Ni ukuvuga ngo bariguriza makeya ariko ni benshi, kandi ya yandi makeya agenda ahindura ubuzima bwabo, ugasanga atangirana n'ibihumbi 20 mu gihe gito ukaba umuntu atangiye kwiguriza miliyoni, kubera ko agenda ashora imari buhoro buhoro. Ni ikintu gikomeye cyane rero gihindura imiterere y'imikorere y'ibigo by'imari n'uko bihura n'abantu, kandi bifasha abantu benshi kugerwaho kuba bafata umwere bagakemura ikibazo cyabo cyihuse, bagakora nk'abantu bacuruza mu isoko utuntu tworoheje, akiguriza mu rukerera akagenda akarangura akagurisha, nimugoroba akishyura, ejo akazagaruka akiguriza. Nuko ibigo by'imari bihindura ubuzima bw'abantu binyuze muri serivisi z'ikoranabuhanga. Wavuze uti ni iki tuzasangiza bagenzi bacu bari hano? Ibyo ni bimwe usanga n'ahandi, ariko nk'uko ngira ngo wabibajije, ngira ngo no New Times usanga cyangwa usanga hari ibihugu bimwe bigifite gutinya gufungura kwemerera izi serivisi z'ikoranabuhanga kujya mu bintu by'imari, bakumva bizatera ingaruka itari nziza ku mabanki. Ibyo rero twebwe tubereka ni byiza iyo duhuye nk'uku nguku n'abandi bamaze kubitinyuka kubijyamo, kubera ukuntu byashoboye kwihutisha kugeza serivisi z'imari ku bantu benshi, kandi nta kibazo na kimwe byateye mu ihungabana y'urwego rwa serivisi z'imari. Tukabereka amategeko n'amabwiriza yagiyeho atuma bikorwa mu mucyo kandi ntibitere akajagari akariko kose. Ikindi twatangiye gukora ubu ngubu, wenda abantu ibigo byinshi cyangwa ibihugu byinshi bitarageraho, nicyo twita gukoresha ikoranabuhanga mu kugenzura imikorere y'ibigo by'imari. Dufite ntuza serivisi twashyizeho twita electronic data warehouse, itworohereza kubona amakuru yose ari mu bigo by'imari byose. Ni ukuvuga ngo aho gutegereza ko badukorera raporo buri kwezi cyangwa buri munsi, ko tubona amaraporo menshi cyane kuva mu bigo by'imari, aho gutegereza rero ko babyandika bakazitwoherereza, ubu ngubu twebwe turazibona direct ducometse kuri za systeme zabo. Biratworohereza kubona amakuru ya nyayo, ariko nabo biraborohereza kugabanya akazi ko kujya gutegura amaraporo bohereza kwa regulator. Ibyo rero bifasha kurushaho kunoza uko tugukurikirana imikorere y'ibigo. Ni ikintu numva kimwe wenda mu byo tumaze kugeraho twasangiza abandi. Ikindi dukoresheje iyo electronic data warehouse, ariko tunubakiye no ku ndangamuntu yatanzwe n'igihugu cyacu, biratwera kubona amakuru asesenguye ku bantu uko bakorana n'ibigo by'imari. Ni ukuvuga ngo ubundi ntabwo wakurikirana, ntabwo wateza imbere abantu gukorana n'ibigo by'imari utazi ababikora nabo uko bangana n'uko bateye n'iki. Nk'ubu ngubu tuvuga ngo abagore usanga aribo benshi batagirwa na serivisi z'imari, ntabwo ubitekereza gusa mu kirere, n'uko ufite imibare itandukanye. Umuntu wafunguye konti muri banki ni umugabo cyangwa ni umugore, umuntu wigurije ni umugabo cyangwa ni umugore, ni urubyiruko runaka. Ibyo byose iri koranabuhanga twashyizeho riratworohereza gukurikirana amakuru ku bikorerwa mu bigo by'imari, bikatworohereza gushyiraho ingamba zifatika zizarushaho guteza imbere abantu ukuntu bakorana n'ibigo by'imari. Now, on the question from the New Times on the strategy, what is it coming to address? It's really to want to formalize what we've been doing in trying to close the financial inclusion gap we have in our country. Today, as you know, the formal financial services, people are accessing formal financial services at 68, and we want everybody to be able to really be working with the formal financial institutions. So it's not, it takes time, it takes a lot of efforts. So within this, the strategy, one is we have a number of women groups that are saving and lending among themselves, but working outside the formal financial services. And so one, we are looking at, we as policymakers, but also as the private sector, and I'm happy that today young innovators have come up with solutions, fintech solutions, that link to these village saving groups to formal financial services. So instead of keeping their money in boxes in their houses, now they can save using mobile platforms, and that money goes straight to a formal financial institution. And this gives them opportunity to, at one point, borrow from these financial institutions and do bigger projects. Instead of continuing with the smaller projects, they're able to implement using their own savings. So one is really to target, and then one is to encourage people to really join these groups, and them joining these groups brings them to experience working with their savings and loans. Then how do we link them to financial services? The other important thing that is stressed in this strategy is on data segregation. And this is key on how we really track what is happening, and based on that, how do we come up with policies that address segments of our population that we're able to track using these data segmentation within financial institutions. Of course, the key, as I said, one of the hindrances was financial education or financial literacy, or illiteracy for that matter. The strategy really stresses the need of financial education, and this is, we as a central bank, but also with the other stakeholders, this is something that we are going to really focus on. And so what we are sharing with our colleagues is, of course, as I said, part of what we have in the strategy, we're able to get it from other colleagues that are ahead of us, but we also share with them what we are doing and how the draft of our strategy is available for anybody to assess and borrow any good experience that they see there. So yeah, we think with these strategies, some of the initiatives are already ongoing anyway. So what happens is to formalize it, but also we are able to track what we are doing based on a clear strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. We can take another round of questions. So we have Katie Press, and then we'll have also Inva Honsha on this side. So we'll go first.
Thank you. My name is Sabiti from Katie Press. I have about 5 questions.
I think we can keep it.
Yeah, okay. They are very important to me. Dr. Alfred, we are standing here on Rwandan ground and in the Rwandan soil, and the FI is supposed to be helping people and countries like Rwanda to be financially inclusive. Can you give us a view of how Rwanda is standing in terms of financial inclusion from your perspective? The second, in comparison to other countries, and what advice would you give for Rwanda to become financially inclusive? Because we know what is happening here in terms of financial inclusion, but I want to get your perspective. The other question to Dr. Alfred is about the Kigali Statement. What about it? Can you give us some bit of details, what that statement means, what will it change, how many statements have we made so far since we started in 2009? Give us a stand up, what is that about? For Dr. Rwangombwa, I would like to ask you a few questions. You mentioned something about Rwanda's financial inclusion policy, which is to be approved by the cabinet. Can you tell us what is going to be new in that policy? And if you can give us the most interesting part about it. Also, I would like to know, we are talking about women inclusivity and youth inclusivity in this AFI General Forum, the Global Forum. But you're not telling us how are we performing in terms of women inclusion and youth inclusion in these areas so that we can lay the strategies as Dr. Rwangomba just said. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we have the mic?
Thank you very much. My name is Mbarubukeye Etienne, Peacemaker, Radio and TV Isango Star. My question goes to Dr. Alfred Hannig. Yeah, around 1 billion over the world are women unbanked. What are some of your specific targets to address this challenge? Ikibazo cy'ikinyarwanda ndakibaza Honorable John Rwangombwa, ese nabonye ino nama izibanda by'umwihariko ku bagore n'urubyiruko, muraduha isura imeze gute ku Rwanda, abagore mu Rwanda kuri financial sector bihagaze gute, mu minsi iri imbere hari ingamba ki ku batagaragara muri uru rwego rw'ubukungu, ese imibare ihagaze gute, abatarimo biterwa n'iki? Murakoze.
Murakoze. My name is Kevin. I'm from Family TV. My first question goes to Dr. Alfred. What are the impact of AFI in fight against economic crisis on sub-Saharan desert countries? Ikibazo cya kabiri ndakibaza Honorable John Rwangombwa. Ni ino nama izibanda ahanini cyane ku ikoreshwa ry'ikoranabuhanga ndetse no kuba bafasha urubyiruko n'abagore bukabazamuka, ariko hari ibyo mwagarutseho. Cyambere ndavuga wenda gukorera mu matsinda, cyane cyane mwasabye urubyiruko n'abagore kujya muri ayo matsinda, ariko byagaragaye ko bitewe na tekinoloji ikiri nkeya, uburyo bw'imibikire y'amafaranga, benshi bizigama ayo make ariko umutekano wayo ukaba mukeya bitewe nuko benshi baragaragaza yuko bamburwa bitewe nuko ayo mafaranga bayabika kuri mobile money. Hamaze iminsi havugwa ikibazo cy'ubwambuzi n'ubushukanyi bukoresheje iryo koranabuhanga, aho mu biteganya iki mukoranye n'ibigo bishinzwe itumanaho no kugenzura umutekano w'ayo mafaranga, na cyane ko uwambuwe ayo mafaranga kugira ngo agaruke bigorana. Cya gatatu ni sako zagiye zivugwamo ibibazo byinshi bitandukanye bijyanye n'umutekano w'abashyiramo amafaranga, icyo cyo mu giteganya hiki, ndetse no kuba umuntu ashobora kubika amafaranga mu murenge sako, wenda niba ari mu Bugesera yagira igicumbi akaba atashobora kuyabikuza kubera ikoranabuhanga ritari ryahuzwa ry'izo sako. Murakoze.
Murakoze cyane. I think we can take those questions.
Yeah, on the standing of Rwanda, I think I touched upon it already. The achievements over the last 10 years are remarkable, and even in the comparison within the network, we can see that we can say that Rwanda is doing very well. And I would actually like to drill down on the national strategy, and just maybe from a high level mention that we see this as a strategy which is very smart insofar as it is really covering the various dimensions of the financial inclusion, namely the access dimension, the usage, and the quality dimension. So we have financial education elements in there, we have the digital inclusion. In this strategy, you have the protection, the consumer protection side in that strategy. So it's a framework that is long-term oriented and will definitely not only help to include additional people, but certainly also to maintain a high level of financial inclusion. So insofar, we believe that Rwanda is a leader in financial inclusion, and this is also documented very soon in the Global Policy Forum when there is a session on the first day where Rwanda, I think led by the governor, will actually show the Rwandan journey on financial inclusion over the last year. So I think that is a very exciting presentation we are looking at. On the Kigali Statement, this is AFI's main deliverable for this forum. And I'm saying main deliverable because there are a couple of others as well, as you maybe have seen from the program. But this one is the big commitment that the members are making. So the Kigali Statement will be followed by all 90 countries that are members of AFI. assuming that it will be adopted at the annual general meeting tomorrow, but I think I don't see any reason why that should not be the case. So we assume that this is going to be adopted, and then members are asked to make commitments under this framework. And the commitments are towards including women, are towards including youth, are towards including forcibly displaced persons, and are also geared towards including the elderly. So these are the groups that are the most affected from financial exclusion, and we hope that the members now make commitments to include these groups. Let me just drill down on the two, which are also at the center of this forum, which is the women and the youth. Just to give you some idea of the problem, we still know, or we know that still in the world we have a gender gap of 9%. That means let's say if we had 50% inclusion of men, we only have 41% inclusion of women. So this gender gap of 9% is something that we want to tackle. And the members have already agreed and committed to halve the gender gap from 9% globally to 4.5% in 2022. So it's a very ambitious objective driven by our committee, which is chaired by the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Zambia. The other issue is youth. And the point is here that in the developed world, 48%, in the developing world, emerging and developing countries, 48% of the youth are excluded from financial services. And here we are talking about the group from 11 to 16, more or less. Now, in the developed world, they're only 18% excluded. So we see even a gap of 30% among developed countries and the developing countries. So this is also a huge task to address, especially since the youth will be the older people of tomorrow. And in some countries we see demographic changes which are very dramatic, where actually a group of youth is going to be counted as the elderly very, very soon. So this is a problem, of course, that we want to address through the financial inclusion lens. Now, the other point I want to make regarding the question on the women targets, I mentioned the overall objective of halving the gender gap, but normally when we look at the issues, we come with 3 or 4 policy solutions that we can identify, when we look at what members are doing. So first is we want to improve on frameworks that allow us to collect sex disaggregated data, because such frameworks do not exist in many countries. We actually don't know what the problem is. So we want to understand much better what kind of exclusion are we observing out there, what are the reasons behind, and that of course will inform regulatory and policy reforms. The other area we are looking at specifically is financial education of women. Many women are illiterate, but they have a mobile phone. So how do we make sure that women can transact via digital channels without being exposed to issues such as cybersecurity, maybe sharing the PIN with someone, or keeping your PIN somewhere that people can also use it. So we need to do financial education, especially for the women, and this is what the members also are committing to. And the third example I can give you is digital identification. Even in Rwanda, I'm not sure, and actually I don't want to say too much because I'm not too educated, but in many countries, I assume people don't have an identity. I mean, like a document. Some maybe have a marriage certificate. Some have a birth certificate. Maybe others have paid a water bill or an electricity bill. But do they have a passport? Do they have an identity card? And that is what you need to get access to a formal financial service. So women are particularly affected by lack of identity. And that is why digital identification is a way to include women when they can identify themselves. This can be done through biometric fingerprints. This can be done through other means. In some places in the world, we even now see that there is a method where you can do the iris scan. You just scan your eye, and then your identity will show up, and you will actually be shown as a person who is very reliable and has always paid their bills. And then you can get access to finance. So this digital identification is also an important area that we are working on, just to give you these 3 examples. And these are the objectives the members are committing to. Now, the last question, I must say, I didn't really get it. It is on the impact, was it economic crisis in sub-Saharan Africa? Was it that, or what was the, yeah. Well, I must admit that we do not measure in this sense, but what I can tell you, of course, is that we try to build the link between inclusive growth, poverty alleviation, and what financial inclusion can actually do as an enabler of inclusive growth. And what we can see, of course, and especially in some of the sub-Saharan African countries, we have seen a very sharp increase of financial inclusion, which what we assume certainly has a very positive impact on inclusive growth and poverty alleviation. But the link to economic crisis, I'm not able to make at this point.
Thank you. I won't have to repeat the highlights of the key points to be addressed about financial inclusion strategy. I think I had mentioned it earlier, and Alfred has touched it as well. So when it's finally approved by cabinet, we'll circulate it for everybody to get the details from there. So hari ikibazo wenda cyabajwe kuri iyi nama iri Rwanda ku bagore n'urubyiruko, ese bihagaze bite mu Rwanda? Ngira ngo kenshi tubipimira ku cyo twita the gender gap, ni ukuvuga ngo ikinyuranye hagati y'abagore n'abagabo uko bagerwaho na serivisi z'imari. Turacyari hejuru y'ikigereranyo y'umubare wenda mpuzanire ku rwego rw'isi, nk'uko Alfred yavuze ku rwego rw'isi turi kuri 9% kuri developing countries. Ni ukuvuga ngo ikinyuranye hagati y'abagore n'abagabo bagerwaho na serivisi z'imari ni 9%. Twebwe turi kuri 11%. Nubwo byamanutse, ni ukuvuga ngo iyo urebye ikiza kirimo hano nuko muri 2008 ku rwego rw'isi n'ubundi icyo kinyuranye cyari 9%. No, kuri 2012. Kuri 2016 nta cyahindutse, n'ubundi usanga kirimo ikinyuranye 9%. Twebwe twari ku kinyuranye cya 14% muri 2012, no yaramanutse ijya kuri 11%. Ubu turimo turakora ubushakashatsi bundi bwa icyo twita Finscope survey, yaratangiye gukorwa, imibare izasohoka mu mwaka utaha. Ubwo turahamya yuko hari ingamba nyinshi zagiyeho zirushaho kuzana abantu mu gukorana n'ibigo by'imari. Surumva iyo n'imibare tuvuga hashize imyaka 4 isohotse, so turahamya yuko mu mwaka utaha bizajya gusohokera hazaba hari cyahindutse. Ikindi navuze kizakihindura cyane uko abagore bagerwaho na serivisi z'imari mu bigo by'imari. Kiriya kintu kiriho gikorwa cyo guhuza very saving groups, ibimina. Abadamu benshi bo mu byaro bakorera mu bimina, so uko kubahuza n'ibigo by'imari bisanzwe bizatuma umubare wiyongera cyane. Kandi ingamba zaratangiye, tumaze igihe hari amabanki ari n'abikorera bo muri fintech babahuza n'ibigo by'imari. Twumva bizahindura cyane uko abadamu bagerwaho na serivisi z'imari. Unfortunately, kubera ko imibare yacu muri survey za mbere ntabwo twapimye kureba urubyiruko uko rumeze, nk'uyu munsi ntabwo twakubwira ngo urubyiruko rwacu ni uko ruhagaze muri financial inclusion. Ariko rya koranabuhanga navuze twashyizeho muri bene rikorana n'ibigo by'imari byose, rigaragaza imyaka, rigaragaza igitsina, rigaragaza icyo gihe, bizatwaye noneho kubona uko bihagaze. No muri iyi survey irimo ikorwa uyu mwaka, ibyo nabyo twabishyizemo tukayifata nka baseline, nk'aho duhereye, noneho tukagenda dukurikirana umwaka ku wundi uko bigenda bihinduka. Ikibazo wibajije cy'umutekano w'amafaranga, sinzi niba umutekano bavuze kuri abandi babika mu dusanduka bakayabika mu mazu yabo, cyangwa bayabika kuri telefone. Kuri telefone Alfred yakivuze, ababika amafaranga kuri za mobile money. Nibyo hari abantu b'amabandi bagenda babeshya, watsindiye iki ngiki, yohereza 20,000, nkohereza 80. Icyo igikorwa no kugereza guhugura abantu kumva yuko nta muntu n'umwe wagombye kukusaba umubare wawe w'ibanga uwo ari wo wose, cyangwa wagombye kubwira ngo umuhereza amafaranga nta gahunda mufitanye nawe. Icyo ni ikintu ni kwa kwigisha twavuze kugomba guhoraho kugira ngo abantu bamenye bajijukirwe ibisabwa n'iki gukorana na serivisi z'imari, cyangwa se iyo ukorana n'ikoranabuhanga ibyo ugomba kwirinda ni ibiki. Umubare w'ibanga ni ibanga nyine, ni wowe nta wundi n'umwe uwo ari we wese wagombye kumenya umubare w'ibanga wa mobile money yawe cyangwa digital account yawe. Ibyo rero ni ibintu tuzakomeza kwigisha. Ikindi wavuze ikibazo gihari kuba umuntu atakura amafaranga ye mu murenge sako runaka ngo yajyane ahandi, nibyo koko, ariko hamaze igihe hari ingamba za leta zo gushyira ikoranabuhanga mu mikorere za sako ndetse no guhuza za sako ku rwego rw'akarere. Byaratinze kubera ibibazo by'abantu bari bahawe isoko, bamara imyaka 2 irenga birabananira gusubira inyuma kujya gutangira bundi bushyashya. Ngira ngo ejo bundi sinibuka aho twari turi mu kiganiro nababwiye yuko ubu noneho Minisiteri y'Imari n'Igenamigambi ifatanyije n'ikigo cya RISA aribo barimo bashyira mu bikorwa uwo mushinga. Twizera yuko mu mpera z'uyu mwaka uzaba watangiye ku sako za mbere twatangiye kuzigerageza. Hagati mu mwaka utaha turahamya yuko zose zaba zamaze gutangira gukoresha ikoranabuhanga, ndetse n'iyo consolidation cyangwa kuzihuza ku rwego rw'akarere byatangiye gukorwa. Ibyo bizagabanya na bya bibazo bavugaga biri muri sako, ariko nano nk'uko ubizi nyuma y'umushyikirano wabereye hano mu mwaka ushize n'umurongo watanzwe n'umukuru w'igihugu, inzego zitandukanye za leta zarahagurutse kugerageza guhangana n'abantu batera ibibazo muri sako. Ndumva Minaloc yaratanze cyangwa se n'ikigo cya RCA cyaratanze imibare y'amafaranga amaze kugaruzwa y'abantu bari barambuye za sako. So ni ikintu turimo dufatanyiriza hamwe twese nk'inzego zitandukanye kurwanya imikorere mibi y'abantu bamburaga za sako, ariko nitumara kugira ikoranabuhanga no kuzihuza ku rwego rw'akarere kabamo ikigo gifite uburemere, nibwo bizatanga umusaruro ufatika kandi w'igihe kirekire.
Thank you so much, Governor. With your permission, we could take 2 more questions.
Last one.
Yeah, the last one, 2 more questions. So we have this question here, and yeah, let's take that one.
Murakoze, Governor. Murakoze namwe, Dr. Hannig. May I just ask Dr. Hannig first? Sorry, Vincent Gasana, KT Press. 2 of us, we thought this was very important, so we all came. Rwanda was an early adopter, 2008. I think the governor will probably be too modest to answer this one, so let me ask it of you, if I may. At that time was a difficult time, and central banks, as you pointed out, had more urgent issues to look at. And we know that actually developing countries, to a certain extent, escaped the 2008 financial crisis. So how much ahead was Rwanda at the time, and how much attention was everybody able to pay them in what they were trying to do, given the fact that central banks, as I say, had other urgent issues? And at that, by now, this is about, 10, 11 years now, Rwanda clearly had policies already when you came into being. So to what extent, one can imagine that Rwanda is a leader in this now. So to what extent has Rwanda managed to bring something new to the rest of the less advanced nation? What are those things that Rwanda has brought? Governor, if I may ask, similar question really, in the sense that the difference, I suspect, with a lot of other countries with Rwanda is that you already had policies of financial inclusion. So to what extent has AFI improved what you already had in the statute books, or how did that change given what they brought? And what are they really adding to what you already had? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It is indeed truth that in 2008, 27, 28, the financial crisis, of course, took a lot of attention. And this is exactly when this organization was founded, at a time when the crisis was at its peak. we argued that financial inclusion is the way to go. Although at that time, people told us that financial inclusion is the problem. No? So in a way, it was almost like an anti-cyclical movement. But I think we were proven very right very soon after that, because we could actually demonstrate that financial inclusion can even have an impact on financial stability. And that is why, in fact, it became also part of the mandate of many of our members. At that time, if you go back to 27, 28, we did not have too many leaders in financial inclusion around the world. We were actually looking at maybe three or four countries in the developing world where we could learn from. So this was Philippines, it started in Kenya, it was perhaps Brazil, and then to a certain extent you could also look at Mexico. But these were the very few ones where we could actually pick lessons from, and we engaged them but also others in a learning exercise. Along the way, of course, more countries started to not only pick up the knowledge, but also started to develop their own initiatives. And in this sense, I must say that especially on the access to digital financial services, Rwanda has seen tremendous development in the past years. I don't have the numbers at hand, but I'm pretty sure that the governor could provide the statistics so that we can say nowadays, I mean, we actually say in AFI that we know that the Eastern African region is the cradle of digital financial services in the developing world, and I think Rwanda is part of that. So there we see a lot of progress. But Governor, I know our time is limited, but let me add one point, because that's also an important message I would like to drop here. When we started the 10 years, 11 years ago, as you said, financial crisis was there, and that, of course, was a motivator for us. We saw it as an opportunity. Now, in the last decade, what actually happened is that many developing countries were moving forward, learning from each other, innovating, actually leapfrogging. So the move towards digital financial inclusion came clearly from, if you allow me to say that, the global south. It came from there. And of course, there were some countries in the global north who were also, dealing with digital, especially in Japan, Korea, and these countries. But these people were banked anyway. They were banked anyway. So it was more about convenience and improving the access and the usage. But it was not about bringing people in. They were already in. So it was more on convenience. It was additive, if you like. Now, this was the last decade. But now with the fast movement, of the technological advances, we now see a convergence. We now see also the developed countries moving forward very fast through fintech and other things in terms of digital financial inclusion. And that now makes a new case for us. It calls for a new convergence around not only the concerns on technology risks, but also finding together the solutions. And this is a new decade, which we are starting now. Now we are looking globally. That means we are now looking countries like Finland, highly digitized. What do they do in financial education? But also countries like Czech Republic are asking what are doing developing countries, for example, on how do they measure the success of financial education campaigns. So we get now questions from all over the world, and my point is actually that the world is growing closer together around financial inclusion. So that has changed, and that is, I think, also our task here to demonstrate that countries have solutions to offer, and Rwanda is certainly among them. Thank you.
I think Alfred has really answered your question. So, and I wouldn't want to say we were ahead of the curve by that time when AFI was being born, because as I said earlier, when we did our FinScope in 2008, we had a big chunk of our population unbanked or completely excluded from financial services, 52%. So as always, maybe the good thing with our country is that we don't fear trying new solutions, like the issue Umurenge Sacco was an inborn idea, and we went to try it, and it really worked. But that's when we started really trying to come up with formal strategies on how we can include our population in a sustainable manner. 2011 is when we opened up the digital financial services, the mobile money and all that. So we needed to build a legal and regulatory framework around that. So when you talk of AFI, it's not like AFI, the unit headed by Alfred. AFI is the network of more than 100 institutions. And so we learn from our colleagues the best practices. Especially we learned a lot in the digital sphere on how we regulate to ensure stability, but we don't stiff for innovation. And so we worked through the different forums we have with AFI, but also directly bilateral with other countries, our colleagues. Most of them are members of AFI anyway. So we've learned a lot in the digital sphere on how we can support, as regulators, support innovation. And like we introduced the sandbox in, I think, 2017, that is allowing new tech solutions in the financial services to be tested in live environment, which we didn't allow before because we feared this disruption could create instability in the financial sector. But learning from our colleagues, we're able to introduce this. We now allow new financial products, digital financial products, to be tested in a live environment for at least 6 months. And we will allow, if there's any need to extend this, we do. So we benefited through this network to really build our regulatory framework. And now, as I said, we've revised our financial inclusion strategy on really focusing on education, focusing on, but also we're talking on focusing on data, on really monitoring and evaluation of what we are doing. But we are moving to another level when we talk of so when we talk of inclusion, now we are moving to a level of the quality of inclusion. It's not just about, as I said earlier, it's not just about banking and withdrawing money, or about just like today when you transfer money on the digital channels, you are considered to be financially included because you can use these formal channels. But in actual fact, it just reduces the time it would take to send this money, but doesn't make a big change. So how do we, as I said, now the channels that are being opened on savings, micro loans, micro insurance, that's where we want now to focus on. The strategy here now focuses on that. And this we are learning from our colleagues across the globe. So thank you. I think we need to be concluding this, but she's a lady, so we can't deny her that chance.
All right.
Thank you, Governor. Lastly, I think you should talk about the cost. The cost, igihombo cyangwa se icyo cyo kuba abagore n'urubyiruko bakiri mu bakoresha serivisi z'imari ku kigero kiri hasi kigaragarira he mu bukungu bw'igihugu?
Biragoye kubivuga mu mibare, wenda ntabwo ndi buguha umubare ngo igihombo ni iki, ariko abagore mu gihugu cyacu ni hafi 51% y'umubare w'abanyarwanda bose. Iyo umubare munini w'abagize igihugu udahaye amahirwe yo kugira uruhare mu iterambere ry'igihugu, ubu igihugu gifite icyo gihombo, no kuvuga ngo ni amaboko atarimo gukoreshwa. Uko rero leta ifite ingamba zitandukanye zo guteza imbere umugore mu rwego si ukumuteza imbere gusa kubwe nk'umuntu, ariko no guteza imbere, gufasha guteza imbere igihugu. Kuba rero abagore bagerwaho na serivisi z'imari bituma nabo bagira uruhare mu kongera umusaruro w'igihugu, bo ku bwabo bongera umusaruro wabo. Ikindi kizwi nuko nkuko yavuga, iyo wahaye umugore ubushobozi wahaye urugo ubushobozi. Icyo no kuvuga ngo the more abagore babona financial services, niko barushaho no kugira ingo zabo zitekanye, niko barushaho no guteza imbere ingo zabo. Ibyo rero bifite uruhare runini mu buzima bw'abanyarwanda n'igihugu muri rusange. So ni kuba rero abantu nk'abo bafite uwo mwihariko kuko ntabwo nabivuga ntabifite mu bwoko kugenda umugabo, ariko bizwi yuko iyo umugore yabonye amafaranga uko yakoresha na kuntu yanga gupfa gusesagura, bitandukanye cyane n'uko umugabo yayabona. Ibyo rero bifasha iterambere no gushimangira ingo bizana umutekano mu banyarwanda. Ikindi urubyiruko ni abantu bafite ibitekerezo byihuse kandi byahindura ubuzima vuba. Kuba rero batagerwaho na serivisi z'imari, ni ukuvuga ngo turimo turatakaza ayo mahirwe y'abantu bakiri bato bashobora gutekereza ibintu bitandukanye byahindura ubuzima bw'igihugu muri rusange. So ni icyo numva nagusubiza, nta mibare dufite nakubwira ngo igihombo ni miliyari runaka, ariko birazwi yuko kutagerwaho na serivisi z'imari ni igihombo kiba kiri ku gihugu, kuko ni amaboko y'igihugu aba ari ahadakoreshwa kandi afite ubushobozi bwo kuba yakora.
So thank you, Honorable Governor, for your time. Thank you, Dr. Alfred, for your time. And for the media, thank you so much. Just a reminder that the official opening is on Thursday. That's when the official opening of the Global Policy Forum is scheduled to begin. Thank you once again for your time.